Hello, Bournemouth fans. Welcome to Cherries Red Army YouTube channel. I'm Kirk, and we're here with a match review, post-review AFC Bournemouth 1, Cardiff City 2. And to help me on this review, I've got my preview guest back, Keith. Keith Thomas, how are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad, Kirk. Well, considering the circumstances, anyway.
And before we get into the review, and we'll go through the game chronologically, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do so. We are 7 away from 250, so thank you for your support. Give this video a like. We'll try and be as positive as possible, but we will look at the game in detail. So, Keith, when the lineups were released, we talked about it on the preview show. Benjamin Bloom highlighted that maybe Woodgate would match McCarthy with a back three. It seemed to look like that.
It certainly did. He went with a back three with Rico and Smith on the full-back roles, and so he tried to match up the big man, and it didn't work out, did it? Certainly not first half, anyway.
I mean, in the lineups live, I think we put Billing in there and potentially had 3 centre midfielders with Stanislas ahead. But as the game started, referee gave kickoff, and the first 10 minutes, Stanislas and Billing were quite close to Sturridge, so it was more like a 3-4-3. The first 20 minutes would sort of play out how it's played out a lot for us this season. A lot of possession play, not doing a lot with it, not hurting Cardiff.
No, we were playing around at the back. Again, that lack of movement up top. I was quite pleased to see Kelly moving, supporting the play in the first 20 minutes, and he did it in spells in the second half as well. And if you're playing with a three at the back, you want one of your centre backs to be supporting the play. And I thought that was slightly positive, but all the dangers, all the threats that we highlighted in the preview podcast, they certainly came to light. And we have a desperate problem with set pieces, be it long throws, be it corners, free kicks. We don't seem to know if we're man marking or zone marking at the moment.
And in the 28th minute, we'd give away a corner, not dealing with the original cross. That corner would come in. Morrison would leap highest, unchallenged pretty much, and would score the first goal.
Yeah, soft goal. And it's not as though we don't know that Wilson can't deliver a ball in, can we? So Morrison just left like a salmon. Nobody else was around him, and it goes. And a typical Mick McCarthy goal. We should have known about all this, that he was going to play on his strengths on the set plays. Whatever was done in training, it certainly didn't work. We were all at 6s and 7s, and there was a number of times in the set pieces that we looked really ropey, and that's been a feature of our game in the last 3 games now. Set pieces not defending properly, the back post not defended properly. It's worrying, and this is an ex-defender, it's our manager.
And we had a defender at the weekend that took a lot of criticism, and he didn't start tonight. But another defender that's taken criticism this year or this season is Rico, and he would divot on the ball. We would gift a penalty. Kiefer Moore would put a brilliant penalty in his defence, a fantastic finish, 2-0 up. Cardiff.
Yeah. And Rico looks at 6s and 7s. I thought at the start of the season, when he was playing in the back three, he looked quite assured and accomplished. But the number of times he got into dangerous positions where you could have expected a first-time cross to zip across the box for someone to try and get onto it, he dithers around. He's indecisive. He doesn't know what he wants to do. And giving the ball away in easy positions, and then they come on the counter with us is it seems to be a hallmark of a lack of confidence with Rico, and it's very difficult to know who should go on in that fullback role at the moment, because Kelly's not on there, not exactly pulling up any daisies either. So that's really worrying. There's a player out of form at the moment, and again we've got to drop him.
looking for some sort of luck from somewhere, and we were looking for Surridge to start, which he did tonight, isolated at times, but the ball would come across in the 41st minute, and he would get a chance in the 6-yard box. Keeper would save it, but sometimes some people say that 2-0 is a dangerous scoreline, and if we had got a goal then, it might have been a different game, potentially.
Yeah. It would have given us a bit of confidence going forward, and it could have changed the momentum of the game. But Sammy was working so hard, but again, all the pitfalls that we've been pointing out, nobody's near him. He was isolated. He presses so hard, but if nobody else is pressing up with you, he just looks like a hopeless figure sometimes, and that's not his fault. That's a lack of belief in defending as a unit and attacking as a unit. And it's 6s and 7s all the time. And what we wanted was somebody to support him. And I thought 2 up top with Stan in there, he might help him out. But again, Stan was hot and cold tonight at best, and seems to be a little bit playing for himself rather than playing for the team. So maybe others might disagree, but I get that impression that he's quite an angry guy, Stan, at the moment, not settled.
So we went in at half-time, 2-0 down. Not a surprise to see some substitutes come on. So Shane Long came on and Danjuma came on for Lewis Cook and Diego Rico. So we had to go for the game. That's natural when you're 2-0 down. And Shane Long would put himself about. We had a few chances through Stanislas. He had a few free kicks, tested the goalkeeper on some occasions and not on others. Actually had a chance in the 6-yard box when the ball was squared. But again, we couldn't get that goal that we needed in the 56th minute.
No. We were huffing and puffing. We were at 4-4-2, which, we went old-fashioned way, and we just tried to go hell for leather. But there was no slick movement. The counter for the goals was well worked, but all too often the patterns of play would break down in the final third for them, and also that we allow them, because we're quite ponderous and patient on the ball, they just reset. And Aidan Flint and Morrison, and Nelson had, in the end, not a difficult game to defend, because there was it was all meat and drink for them. Those some aimless balls to the back. Apart from Long, 2-2, my word, what's going on there?
And you say on the rare occasion that we turned over the ball, quick counter-attack, what we do have in our team, got Danjuma in a positive area, shot, stroke, cross would then sort of be deflected, and Shane Long, as you said, would get his second goal. Again, probably a chance he should be putting away just like Saturday, but he got us back in the game 2-1.
Yeah, and it was, as I say, it was one of those rare breaks where they didn't have so many, they had 6 or 7 behind the ball at times. And it's one of those rare breaks where we caught them on the hop, and we got the break, and Sean Lunn puts it away. So he was in the right place at the right time for this one. So, yeah, hats off to Long, but rather too little too late. And it was a lot of huffing and puffing, and didn't really get any momentum going, even despite the goal.
I mean, it's easy to say that we had a better second half, but it very much replicated Reading. When you're losing 2 or 3-0, it's easy because that team can drop off and just say, we've done enough, and that's what Cardiff did. I mean, that's the second game now they've won with 34, 33 possession. They don't want to win football matches with possession. They'd rather just win it out of possession. But we were always going to dominate the second half because we had to chase the game. And as you said, we huffed and puffed, but we couldn't get that equaliser. And ultimately, Cardiff saw a game out well under Mick McCarthy.
Definitely. And you've got to give it to Mick McCarthy and Terry Connor. They've done a really good job there. They've done something that a lot of teams are guilty of, and we're not the exception, of having a team spirit. And that seems to be the theme, that if you're, obviously it's difficult for players with social distancing, they can't go around to each other's houses, they can't get that bonding, but but McCarthy's addressed that, and he addressed it straight away at his press conference when he was first got the job, and he's really worked hard on it, and they play for each other. They're so busy, they're so working hard all the time for each other, and contrast that with the sixes and sevens that we had. There's no fluid play. Again, people are guilty of not taking responsibility, and consequently, that's a huge difference between us and a team like Cardiff, or a team like Reading, or a team like Brentford, or a team like Norwich that play for each other. And that's got to be addressed at some point. We've got Joe Jordan coming in. He's no fool, and I'm sure he'll be telling some players a few untruths, but it certainly needs a change. And it is worrying how unteam-like we are.
So the game ended 2-1, and as Benjamin Bloom highlighted again on our preview show, that really any win for Cardiff would put them in the playoffs. And for the first time, I believe, this season, we're not in the playoff paces, Keith, with 14 games to go.
Yeah, and because we've dithered around so long with the managerial, look at Bristol, this contrast. Bristol City, within a few days of sacking their governor, they got Nigel Pearson in. 3 or 4 days. We took 3 weeks and a run around, and that's eating up half of our time before we get into the squeaky bum bit, which is always March. And are we set up for that? I feel tonight, I hate to say it, it feels like our season's petering out.
Do you know, another concern on that table as you're looking at it, Keith, is that we were talking probably the back end of before Christmas about having such a healthy goal difference, etc.
Yeah.
We're now got it's not as healthy as it was. And when you look at Swansea, Watford and Brentford and Norwich, and I mean, we're not probably going to get close to them, but our goal difference has fallen off a cliff.
Yeah, completely dried up of goals. Whereas at the beginning of the season, we were scoring from different parts of the pitch. Everyone was contributing, everyone's chipping in. That's just completely dried up. And, hopefully Solanke is back, but you can't put all the weight of expectations on his shoulders in this situation. No, we're leaky at the back. We are not scoring. And any other point in the season, if this was happening in October, I would say we'd be in relegation form at the moment. We really are. We've gone backwards, Kirk. That we haven't gone forwards. We've gone backwards, and we don't know what formation we're going to play week in, week out. And picking players is getting harder because apart from Cameron Vickers tonight, nobody else really stood out. It's not like you could say there's a plethora of man of the matches to be awarded tonight. Say Cameron Vickers, Carter Vickers was my highlight, but that was it.
And do you know what? Coming on to the man of the match, and I sort of done something a bit differently tonight. I put a Twitter post out after the game, and actually I asked for the man of the match for the players that have been the most patient on the bench tonight. And I put it out there with Ben Pearson, Jordan Samora and Jadon Anthony. And Jordan Samora got 50% of the vote after 26 votes. So it was out for about 10 or 15 minutes. Yeah. And it's just interesting because you think that problem we've had at left back, I don't ever get why JT and Woodgate are not just giving it a go and maybe throwing some more in there.
You would hope that with the work that Sean Cooper's done with the youngsters, that they would be getting a look in, and they're not. And I can only think that's because some players have got in their contracts appearance clauses, and their agents, if they're not played, their agents are straight on the phone and saying to the gaffer or to Blake, what are you doing and what have you. So again, we don't have much of an insight into that, but I was at a loss while we sold Namdi. I thought tonight was a game screaming out for Pearson, to break up the play and keep Wilson, keep him quiet, and we didn't do any of that. And I don't know what Jay-Z has to do to get in the side, because Rico was abject tonight, and he can't do any worse than that. But for some unknown reason, political, I don't know, we're not playing our youngsters, and we desperately need to at least get some vibrancy in the team, because it's looking really stale at the moment.
Right, Keith, we've got a new manager confirmed, as we know already. Gary O'Neill's come in, Joe Jordan, and we got Watford on Saturday. What do we do on Saturday, Keith?
It's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult, but I think he's got to go back to what he tried and trusted, at least under Woodgate, is the 4-2-3-1, and maybe play with a double pivot. But again, we've bought this guy Pearson, paid money for him. He needs to play at some point, because, as I say, we've got to inject some vitality, belief, inject something into this squad. Watford, they look hungry, and I'm afraid for another result like tonight. That's what I'm really thinking. But I have no idea what the formation is, and I don't even know what my first 11 would be. Thankfully, I'm not doing the preview show for that. So,
and a phrase I heard the other night that sticks in my mind now is you throw a Woodgate into an O'Neill, a Warnock, and a Mick McCarthy.
Yeah,
Keith,
yeah.
It's been a pleasure having you on the preview and the review, and we'll have you on many more shows. It's been a lot of fun, though. Enjoy the next couple of days before Saturday, and hopefully the tide will turn.
Hopefully, and it's always up the Cherries, and it's always drama when we play. So, yeah, hopefully we could get something out of it. But Kirky, thank you very much, mate, and get subscribing, guys, because Kirky's always worth listening to.
And for you Bournemouth fans that you've been watching this review show, really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this. It's another game where we haven't scored inside the 20th minute, and we're struggling to score goals and set our stall. But I tell you what, keep subscribing, keep liking the videos, and we'll keep trying. And there's still 14 games to go, and it can turn in 1 or 2 matches. So enjoy the rest of your week. We'll have a preview show for Watford on Friday night at 7:30, and then the usual stuff going on game day at Watford, lineups live, etc. So for now, we'll see you on the next video. Up the Cherries.
Up the Cherries.